Good morning or afternoon, depending on which side of the pod you're on, and welcome to an extra special episode of Across the Pitch. We're being joined by Accrington Stanley's Callum Johnson. You may remember that Callum joined us on the show last year. It was one of our Callum Club interviews, and he's decided to come back on and talk with us again. Welcome back to the show, Callum.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
And so I wanted to ask you, have you been recognized on the street at all since the last interview? Have people been saying, hey, there's a guy from the Callum Club, or not too much?
No, not too much, no.
And we have the Canadian Accringtonian himself, Tony Robinson, is on the call with us here today. Welcome on the show here, Tony.
Hi, fellas. It's a pleasure to be back on with you guys, and looking forward to having a really good chat with Callum. I'm a big supporter, and looking forward to his comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Should have a great show here coming up. And now, Callum, let's start off by talking about the game here on Saturday against AFC Wimbledon. That was a 2-1 win, and of course you had a big assist in that one. Tell us about how important a game that was for the club there.
Yeah, we felt it was a massive game. Obviously they're struggling down at the bottom as well, and we felt that it was a good opportunity for us to get 3 points. Like you said, the gaffer came out and said it was a 6-pointer, and it was, because we knew how important that was to try and stop our form, but against the side who have been struggling as well, and we really felt as if we could beat them, and we did.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the best performance that I had seen out of the club in about a month. You guys are starting to get some key guys back from injury, but you have also had a couple guys out. Of course, Sean McConville's out for the season. Colby Bishop, he's been out, will be back fairly soon. But you guys did make some signings over the transfer window. Did you feel like the guys that you brought in were kind of what the doctor was going to order for what the team needed to make a run down the stretch?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I haven't seen either of them yet. Benny's got a bit of a knock, I think, so he hasn't been back, but he's back in a couple of days. But they're just obviously striker and a winger, a wide forward player, which is, I think, what we needed, and hopefully they can help us do everything they can to get us over the line.
Yeah, absolutely, because you guys are so strong on the back line, but you have had some injuries up front, so I think those signings will be big. Now, Now, Tony, I know that you had some questions for Callum. Why don't you jump in with a couple of your questions here?
Okay. Yeah, Callum, I was wondering, I know on Saturday it was a very emotional day, for the fans, for Billy Key. How was it for you as a player reacting to the situation and Billy being there? How was it for you?
It was nice to see Billy. We've seen him at the Burton game. He was at the Burton game away. We had we saw him briefly there, but we hadn't really seen him for a while. So it was nice to see him, and obviously the fans turned out well. And before the game, we seen him walking on the pitch. We were trying to obviously concentrate on the warm up, concentrate on the game, but the fans were great. They were right behind us, and then it was nice to get the win for him, and we had a chat with him after the game. So he came in the changing rooms after the game, and I had a chat with him. So it was nice, and obviously the win made it even better.
Yeah, I think it was very, as I say, I could see scenes of it, and very emotional. And did it lift the players, do you think, before the match, and feeding off the crowd, because the crowd was obviously pumped for prior to the kickoff? Yeah,
I think it lifted the crowd mainly, which obviously lifts us. It helps us a lot, especially when we went down to 10 men. I said after the game, I said that the fans obviously, when they scored to make it 2-1, it was really difficult for us because we were on the back foot for just about all of the second half, and the fans just kept singing and they kept going. So that definitely helped, I think.
One of the things, obviously, I'm able to travel over to see Stanley every September, October, and the Wham Stadium is a very close, stadium for the supporters to the fans. You playing right back, especially when you're attacking the away end, the Coppice end. If things aren't going well, the fans are right next to you, and you can hear every comment. How does that affect you as a player?
Yeah, it is probably the closest that I've put in the league. I'd say there's a couple that are similar. Wimbledon's is quite similar, but at first, when I first started playing games, it was something I had to get used to. Obviously, try and block out the any comments really, whether it be good or bad, because you need to be concentrating on the game. But I've played over 100 games now, so I'm definitely used to that, and it's nice to see the fans and clap the fans and speak to them sometimes after the game. But during the game, I just try and concentrate on it as much as I can.
Yeah, it's a lot different, obviously, when you're on attacking the away end than attacking the home end, because sometimes when the away fans in that area you're playing, it's probably not that well populated with away fans some matches, so it's probably a little quieter for you when you play on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, it can be quite strange actually. Some games it can be really quiet, and you feel it does feel really strange. But then some games, when you've got obviously the bigger teams, it's just as loud as any other stadium that we play in. Because sometimes, obviously, when there's Sunderland fans or Portsmouth fans or a big club and it's full, it's really loud because of how close they are. So yeah, one week you can be really loud, and the next week really quiet. It's strange.
I was at the Blackpool match when the smoke bombs came on and things were being thrown at the keeper. How is that? Is that intimidating to you as a player?
No, not. I wouldn't say so. No, I'd say maybe in the first sort of few games I played as a young lad. I think it was obviously something that I wasn't used to, and I was a bit not put off by it, but a bit like whoa. But now I think I'm just used to it. I think I've been through all sorts of. I've played in front of 35,000 now, so it's not really. You just got to get on with it.
Yeah, and that just leads me to a question: which is the best and the worst stadiums you've played in for as far as atmosphere is concerned?
Atmosphere. I'd say. We played Coventry a few years ago, and there was 35,000 there. They sold cheap tickets on the cheap. That was good. Obviously, that's a lot of fans. The atmosphere was good.
Was that at the old Ricoh Coventry Stadium?
Yeah, it was the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, because they've moved on to they're playing at the Birmingham Stadium now this year, right?
Yeah. Sunderland's one of them that's up there. Worst atmosphere. Worst as in not very good or hostile?
Well, yeah, whatever. What sort of that really is not a comfortable situation for you?
I like it when it's not. I'd probably prefer it when it's loud and noisy anyway. Even if we were away somewhere, I'd prefer that than if it was quiet. But
is there a stadium that's like a cold atmosphere? Because I know the old Brighton Stadium back in the years where they had a running track around it. Is there anything like that where you think this is just not a nice place to play?
Not really. I can't really think off the top of my head. No, not any. No.
No, Rochdale. They're a team that's kind of giving you guys some trouble. It seems like that's one of those local derbies there for you. And is that one of the tougher places to play? Maybe is Rochdale, because it just seems like it doesn't matter where you play them at. They seem to be a bit of a headache for you.
Yeah, they are. It's become quite a frustrating thing, to be honest. I didn't play there this year though. I was injured when we played Rochdale away. I think that's the only game I've missed. I was out for a week with a little niggle, so I didn't play that one. I agree with what you said. It's become a bit of a frustrating thing with the results against Rochdale, but obviously we've played them twice now, so that's in the past, and we need to just look forward.
Yeah, I have to wait till next season and get it next year.
Yeah.
So now another game that Tony mentioned was Blackpool, and actually he was talking about the first Blackpool game, but in the second Blackpool game, you had what was the game-winning assist in that one, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but did you know that you're leading League One in successful crosses?
Yeah, I seen that. I seen that come out yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one that you hit against Blackpool that ended up at the back of the net. When you hit a cross like that's just into the perfect spot like that, is that one of the ones when it comes off your foot, you know that's a good one?
Yeah, it's almost like a striker would say. He puts a shot, he hits a shot, and he knows as soon as he's hit it. It's almost similar with the cross, and obviously that part of my job is to put crosses in the box for the strikers to score. So it's probably one of the best feelings, I'd say, getting an assist, especially when it's for the game winning assist like that was.
Callum, is when you get an assist and a cross like that, is that more satisfying to you than sort of a game-saving tackle or something in the defensive zone? Is the attacking part that's more rewarding, or is it similar?
I'd say similar. To be fair, I'd say obviously as a fullback, my job is to be a defender, which is the first and foremost. So if we're getting clean sheets, that's just as important, and last ditch tackles and blocks and things, that's just as important. But I'd say the attacking part is more of a bonus.
I'm sorry, I was interrupted. Just going to ask, when you're playing on right full back, you're playing alongside Hughes and Sykes. Two well-established, solid players. Do you find they have different styles, and what is it like playing alongside them?
Yeah, I used to play. So Mark plays on the left side now, and I play next to Ross. But when I first came and played, I was playing next to Mark. He was on the right side. But they are different centre backs. Obviously, Mark likes to try and pull out from the back and pick passes, and he's really good at communicating, and he's obviously experienced. Ross has played a lot of games now as well. His communication's got a lot better. I think he talks to me and I talk to him. We try and help each other out, even though obviously we're both young lads, but we talk a lot more. And Ross is obviously really good in the air and getting better with his feet at playing out from the back. So I think that partnership has worked well.
It seems to be that Sykes is getting a lot more sort of publicity than Mark Hughes. Yet Mark Hughes is probably one of the first guys that John Coleman writes on his match sheet. So it's got to say a lot for his caliber of play too.
Yeah. Obviously, both very good players. Mark's obviously getting towards the end of his career now, where he's about 33, I think he would be. Ross is obviously a young lad, so everyone's excited for what he can do. I think he's 20 or 21, so as a young lad, you obviously have ability to improve. So they're both at opposite ends of the career, but they both work well.
You guys have a lot of stability on the back line, and then you've also got Jerome Apoku, who has come in on loan this year and kind of given you a pretty steady four that you come out with you and Jerome on the outside and the Mark and Ross on the inside. How important is that to kind of have the same three guys out there with you week to week?
Yeah, obviously you sort of learn how each player likes to play and what they like to do. So it's good to know what he's going to do as well as him knowing what you're going to do. But we've had a few injuries this year, and people are going to come in, and you need to know how everyone plays, and that's what training's for. And I think the lads who've come in when they needed to come in certain positions have done well as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're showing yourself to be pretty durable, because last season you went over 3,400 minutes. I was looking, you're at 2,300 minutes in the league already this year, and to me, a number that I kind of look at is to see the guys that play over 3,000 minutes in a season, and I look at those are really the guys who were the stalwarts of the team for that year, if you will. Is there a number that you put in your head at the beginning of the season where you want to play a certain amount of minutes and say, yeah, like, is there a number like that, like 3,000 that you look to get to on a season, or is it just a matter of just trying to be out there every week kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd say it's more looking at the amount of games. I don't really look at the minutes, to be fair. It's obviously interesting to know the minutes, but I just look at before the season. I just say I want to play every game. I just want to play in every game that I can. And obviously sometimes that's not possible if you've got a slight injury, or I was suspended as well this year. But I just want to play as many minutes and games as I can.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly one of the staples out there, and now this is a little bit outside the box kind of question. And this is one that I had actually asked you about on Twitter a couple weeks ago, but it was a good one, so I wanted to kind of come back to it. And this was at the Burton game. It was about the 87th minute, and they brought in Templeton as a sub. And right as soon as he came onto the pitch, he kind of received a pass outside the box, and you came in and you knocked him off the ball. Good tackle, and the ball ended up dribbling off his foot out of bounds. But as the ball was rolling out of bounds, you kind of gave him a little extra welcome to the game, if you will. And well, what I had asked you about then, is that something that you guys kind of have in your mind when a new sub comes on, that you immediately want to make a physical play and let them know that, hey, this is a man's game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, especially as a defender, I knew he's a good player, Templeton. And when he came on late in the game, we were drawing, and I just wanted to sort of let him know that he's not going to have an easy game against me. He's not just going to get the ball, and I'm not going to be there, because it was late on in the game when legs are tired and he had fresh legs. I just thought, just let him know. And sometimes that type of player don't. After things like that, they don't want to know for the rest of the game. So that's the thought process behind that.
Just adding on to that, Phil and Callum, what is the biggest difference, do you think, going from League Two to League One? Is it the caliber of the style of football, or what is the biggest difference you've noticed?
I'd say there's two things. There's two main things. I'd say. The quality in the forward areas of the pitch is a lot better in League One. I'd say so. The strikers and the wingers, I'd say they're another level to the ones in League Two. And then the other thing which leads on to that is that mistakes get punished a lot more in League One. So the forward players are better because they take advantage of mistakes, even mistakes that aren't visible for people who don't really watch football. I'd say mistakes, positional sense and things that the attackers are cleverer in League One than League Two, and they sort of attack where you make mistakes, and they punish you a lot more.
Has the caliber of goalkeepers different in League One?
I'd say slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say slightly, yeah. But there's good goalkeepers in League Two as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say slightly.
Now, just looking at the schedule here going down the stretch right now, like you said, you got that big win against AFC Wimbledon, and that allowed you guys to put a little bit of breathing room between yourselves and the danger line. But looking at the schedule here, you're about 2/3 of the way through. You're going to be coming out of the winter break here on the 11th. What kind of goals have you guys set as the club for the rest of the season? Are you looking to try to maybe make a top 10 finish, or do you guys think that you can still there's still enough time to push for that top 6 and try to get the playoffs?
I think obviously the first thing is to make sure we've got enough points to stay up, and then I think after that we'll just go from there. I think it's just going to be game by game. We've got to go into every game like we did the Wimbledon one. Like every game's a massive game, and we need to just treat each game as it is, and see where we are. I'd say, but after we get the points to stay up, then we'll go from there really. But that's the main plan. But we want to be looking up and counting how many points we are off the playoffs rather than looking down and counting how many points we are off the relegation.
I think this season is it's different because of the fact that you've obviously Barry dropped out, and last season it was 50 points to stay up. I mean, this season it probably will be less, but as you say, it's still an important goal to get to that points. It might be 46, 47, but you could string 3 or 4 wins in a row, and then all of a sudden that can move you quite a bit up the standings, can it?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think it'll be less points with what happened to Bury, and then obviously Bolton and Southend haven't got a lot of points. So I think probably 40, maybe even 45 might be enough to stay up this year. But you are right that we need a couple of wins, and you're looking up rather than down because of how tight it is. I was looking at the league table earlier today, and we've got Shrewsbury next Tuesday, who are only 1 place above us. Then we've got Lincoln on the Saturday, who are only 2 places above us. So if we can win a couple of games, we'll be in the top half of the table. And then you are looking up rather than down.
Well, you look at the form for Lincoln and Shrewsbury in the table form. They have lost some games, and obviously you picked up a win on the weekend. With Tranmere coming in and Bolton and Lincoln, you've got some key games that you basically you win those games for the teams around you or below you. That pretty well could make your season a success or survival for the season. Yeah,
we've got some massive games coming up. We've still got to play Tranmere at home. We've got to play MK Dons, who are below us, away. We've got to play Bolton away. We've got obviously Lincoln and Shrewsbury in the next week, which are all around us on the table. So that if we can win the majority of them games, then that can make our season a success.
That Shrewsbury game, that's really another 6-point game because, like you said, they're right ahead of you at the table. They're on 34 points. You're on 33 points, so you can leapfrog them with a win. That's also an extra important game because Shrewsbury does have 2 games in hand on you guys. So being able to get in front of them would be big. And just looking at the table, just to kind of give an idea of where things are at. Right now, you're at 33 points, and Tranmere is at 22. They're the last team out right now, so you're 11 points above the cut line. But then if you look up at the 6th place, you have Portsmouth with 47 points, so that's only 14 points away. So really, if you look at the playoff line and the relegation line, you're right kind of dead in the middle. So like you said, a win or two, you'll definitely start looking up instead of down.
Yeah, I think the next few games are massive. I think if we can get a couple of wins, the next few weeks will determine whether we are pushing mid-table and then pushing on, or whether we are down there in the scrap. I think these next few weeks are really important. We get some points.
And that game you've got at home against Rotherham, obviously they're playing really, really well, top of the league. But, at the Wham Stadium, you guys have played well against top teams. I mean, I was at the match when you beat Ipswich and on a Sunday you were on Sky. I mean, that was a tremendous performance. So there is that ability within the squad to take on the top teams, isn't there?
Yeah. We went away to Rotherham and we were actually unlucky. We lost 1-0 and it was off a set play, which was disappointing. It was either a corner or a free kick. So we only lost 1-0, and like you say, we are capable of beating anyone in the league, really, especially at home, and when the fans get behind us, and I think it's more than anything. I think it's when we take our chances. I think against Ipswich we took our chances, and against them top teams you'll only get a few chances, and if you take them, and we've got a chance of winning.
On the other side of the coin, Callum, you had 2 matches that were, the one against Salford and then at Southend. Those really, there were matches that people were expecting wins. How did that affect the team coming out of those 2 matches?
Yeah, they were disappointing. Salford was disappointing because we didn't particularly play very well as a team. I'd say we were poor on that night. We should have gone there and won, especially against a side who in the division below us. So that was disappointing. And then the Southend game was a bit different because I think we played, first half, we should have been 3 or 4-0 up. So I don't think it took too much out of us because although we were obviously absolutely gutted and we knew it was a massive game, we knew that if our forward players would have took our chances, we would have comfortably won that game. But in football, you've just got to move on. If you stick to what's happened in the past and you look back on it, and you won't be able to move forward. So we just had to try and move forward and learn from our mistakes.
So let me ask you this. So you played at least every team in League One at least once this season so far now. So out of the teams that you've seen in League One, who would you say is the best team or the toughest opponent that you've seen as a team and also as an individual matchup? So who's the best player and the best team that you've played against so far this year?
I'd say team-wise, we played Oxford. I know they've dropped off a bit now, but they've sold 2 of their best players to Brentford in the Championship. But we played Oxford at home, and I thought they were a really good side. I thought they would be up there. Peterborough as well, they were good. They've got some good forward players.
Peterborough really impressed me the other day.
Yeah, they're a real good side. They've got some players who are Championship players. Really, they've got quite a few in their squad are Championship players. But as in player, I'd say probably one of Peterborough's players, mate, probably Ivan Toney, mate. I know they're talking about him leaving for 10 or 12 million. So I'd say there's a few players for them. Year. Yeah, there's a few players for them who are good players.
What about Caden Jackson, who's a guy that you played with him his last year in Accrington, and now he's just lighting the world on fire over in Ipswich. He gave you guys real trouble the other day too.
Yeah, he's a good player, Caden. He's obviously quick. We knew going into the game what his strengths and weaknesses were, but we weren't able to sort of stop him. He's a good player when he's on his game, and he's been scoring. He scored a few goals this season for Ipswich.
Yeah, he's really gone off this year with his scoring, and yeah, I don't know. I guess any time a guy comes in and plays against his old team like that maybe that's a little bit of extra motivation there.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I haven't had that sort of experience yet.
Well, that I guess would kind of lead into to something that I wanted to ask you here, and if you don't want to answer this right now, I completely understand. But have you started making any plans for next season? Are you looking at trying to come back to Stanley, or are you going to explore your options after the season?
I haven't, to be fair. No, I'm one of those people who just wants to sort of concentrate on the here and now, and I'd say obviously the most important thing is staying up this year, but we'll just see what happens in the summer. I'm into my option year, so I've only got a year left if the club give me my option, and then we'll just see what happens. We'll see if there's any interest in the summer, and we'll just go from there really. But I'm just really going to concentrate on getting this season, staying up this season, and then go from there.
Well, there's definitely been every year from what I've seen that you've made a marked improvement in your play. And this year, you have just blown away anything that you've done in past years. And I, watching you, like I said, I hope you stay in Accrington forever, but I definitely see a bright future for you, headed up maybe a tier here in the near future is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that'll be obviously I want to play as high as I can, but I'm just concentrating on, like you say, I think I agree. I feel like I've improved every year, and I just want to keep improving, and then just go from there and just try and play as many games as I can.
Now, I remember that when we talked last season, we had talked about how 2 years ago you had a little bit of problems with yellow cards and gotten some suspensions, and then last year you said that you really focused on that and were able to cut down on your yellow cards, and that was a big thing that you worked on last year. Was there anything like that this year that you came into that you picked out that you specifically wanted to focus on this season?
I tried to concentrate on my crossing, which I think I've improved, and I've been working on that quite a lot in training. And then my defensive, just my overall defensive side of the game, trying to obviously, like I said earlier, we come up against good forward players and wingers, and I've just been trying to work and watch my clips with some of the members of staff on how I can improve my defensive side of the game so that I get the better of the winger rather than him get the better of me, because usually I'd say most of the time the left winger for the opposite team is one of, or if not their best player. So it's an important side of my game to be right defensively so that he doesn't get the better of me.
Well, that's really interesting that you bring that up. So you're kind of the guy that's tasked with shadowing, if you will. That I know that's probably more of a hockey than a soccer term, but you're the one that's kind of in charge of keeping an eye on whoever that star winger is for the other team. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'd say obviously. It depends what formation they play. Some teams play 5 at the back nowadays in our league, but if they play with wingers and even if they play with wing backs, that usually the left-sided one tends to be one of the better players. So I've just got to look at his strengths and weaknesses and try and sometimes that might be me bombing forward to try and get, because usually the better players don't want to track you back. So sometimes that might be me attacking him. Sometimes that might be me working on defending him, and that's what I'd say I've been working on more this year. Watching my clips back of my games with John Doolan, who's a coach, and just working on my positioning and how I can improve.
How big a part is that of the game in terms of film study and things like that? I know in American sports, especially like American football, that the film room is just a huge part of things. But I know that in association football or soccer, as we call it over here, that it's getting to be more and more. How much time do you guys spend in the film room studying the opposition?
Yeah, a lot, to be fair. I think it is important. We, especially if we get beat, we do spend a lot of time watching to see what we did wrong and sometimes even what we did right and what we can do more of. But that's as a team, and then I go individually as well after every game now to watch my clips and to see what I did well and what I need to improve. And I think it's massive, to be fair. I think it's because sometimes you might come after a game and think, oh yeah, I did really well there, but then you watch your clips back and you might think, oh, well, I didn't do as many good things as what I thought. I could have done this, I could have done that. And I think it definitely has helped. It's helped me a lot, especially this season.
I think at the end of a match, too, it's changed a lot from years gone by. Is once the final whistle blows, that's not the end of it for you as a player, is it? There's lots of other things that your day's not done, really, is it?
No, definitely not. The most important thing's recovering, especially if you've got a Tuesday game. You've got to recover properly. Whether it be stretch and have an ice bath, or watch your clips on what you need to do, and watch clips of players who you're going to be playing against on the Tuesday or the following week. It's ongoing, yeah.
This year, obviously, you're playing on a new pitch that was put in last summer. How is the pitch holding up, and is that help with the recovery because you're playing on a good surface?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it was last season. It's doing well. I think it has helped. It can obviously help us play our passing game a lot more. And I'd say so far for me, yeah, I've recovered. My recovery's been quite good from it. Last year it was a bit sandy and it was a bit heavy on the legs, which was towards the end of the season. I struggled to. My legs were feeling a lot tired and struggling to recover as well. But it's not as sandy this year. It's more. It's like tougher as such. So it's not as heavy on the legs, and it's definitely improved massively, and it's helped us, I think.
I think Buzzer obviously is walking around with a bigger smile on his face this year than Buzzer Cook. That is, bigger smile on his face than last year, isn't he?
Yeah, I was speaking to him yesterday, telling him about the goal mouth down the other end. The goal mouth needs sorting the goalmouth's quite sandy, but the pitch is doing well.
That's good.
And with the pitch improvement, it's just really been a game changer. And Buzzer has just did an amazing job with the pitch. And I know that Andy put a lot of money into it over the season, or excuse me, over the off season. And just looking at the stadium on TV, it doesn't even look like the same place that I watched last year.
No, it looks a lot better now. Obviously, the stands really good. The pitch is a lot better, and I'm sure Andy's got more plans to improve it.
Yeah, it seems like he does a couple of things every year to kind of whether it be adding to the memorial garden that's coming up. That's something that's going to be really nice. And it's just it's a fun time to follow Accrington, because you read so many stories about teams that are not doing so well, or you see the Barry situation, and of course Accrington has its own history, but 2020 seems to be one of those times that Accrington is a club that's headed in the right direction, and good things are happening. And for you, I'm sure that it must be a good thing for you to be at a club where things are headed in the right direction. And I'm sure you look around the league and you probably say to yourself that you're happy that you're not in some of these other situations.
Yeah, the club's going in the right direction. I'd say obviously the next thing is to get a good training ground that we can train at and have as our base. But everything's going in the right direction. I agree with what you're saying, and it's a good club to be at.
Andy Alt is very, he's very in front of the club and has done a lot for obviously the club and the infrastructure. Do you see him much around the club, Callum, as far as interaction with the players?
Yeah, I see him every now and then around during the week. We see him on the match days. He's always there on the match days, so I always see him at match days, and he's always there to chat to. He's class to have around. He's the best owner you could wish for, really, I'd say.
He's very accommodating to the fans, and on match day too. I mean, when you see him in the hospitality lounge, he's never shy away of saying hello to people. And if he knows somebody's traveled the distance to see the club, he makes a point of speaking to them. I think that says a lot about him as a person.
Yeah, it says a lot about him as a person. It shows why he's the right person to have in charge of the club, because that sums the club up for me, and I think Holty's the exact right person to have in charge.
To me, he's just a model owner in terms of a guy who has the fans, the club, and the players kind of first, and isn't one of these guys who's just in to make a quick buck and sell the team off. He genuinely cares about the community and where the team's going to stand after he steps away.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree.
I don't think he's on Mr. Klopp's Christmas card list, but I do like the fact that he does stand up for on his opinions and makes them known. I think you should give him credit for that, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, he's very opinionated, but you can't knock that. You'd rather someone be open and honest than hide things and not be truthful.
Agreed.
Yeah, you never have to wonder what Andy's thinking, because he'll tell you.
Yeah,
you're right.
Now, did you have any other questions, Tony, that were on your list that we hadn't gotten to so far?
Just the one question, and it always fascinates me as a football player, and it's basically a two-part question. No, the first part is, when you were growing up, what club did you support? And on the second part, when you get a Saturday off, what do you do?
So the first question, I'm from near Middlesbrough, and that's who I played for since I was 7. So I supported Middlesbrough, who are in the Championship now, the league above us. And then I also liked a few of the big teams as well. I sort of liked I loved Barcelona when I was younger, and we used to go on holiday to Spain. I used to love when we used to go to Barcelona, the stadium, and I used to love Ronaldinho and all the big players. So that's that question. And then on a Saturday, well, we haven't got a game this Saturday, so I'll be going to the gym. If we're not training on Saturday, but we're training on Sunday, so I'll be going to the gym and possibly do a few runs just to take over and make sure I'm right for the next week.
So it's not really a day off for you?
No. We've had a couple of days off this week during the week just to sort of, not a winter break, but sort of a little break, because there's a lot of games in the season and you do need your rest. That's one thing I've learned, but you need to still stay on top of your fitness and make sure you're just ticking over as such.
Oh, great stuff.
So that was one thing when we talked to Jerome Apoku the other week, is that he mentioned that one of the things about being in Accrington is that because there isn't a lot of nightlife per se, that there's a lot more time to just really focus on football, and that's been a good thing for his career. Do you tend to agree with that playing in a place like Accrington, where maybe things are a little quieter than being in London, for instance, that it ends up being a good thing for your career because you can really just focus on your craft?
Yeah, I can see what he's saying. I think for certain characters, it'll definitely help them. But for me, I don't think. Even if I was in London, I think I would be still 100% concentrated. I'm not the type of person to go out and all of that stuff. I'd just be 100% focused no matter where I was. But I agree with what he's saying. If there was, it's a quiet place, and it's an easy place to relax, I'd say. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I could definitely tell by talking to you, is what a committed guy that you are. That you seem to be kind of a guy that eats, breathes, and sleeps football.
Yeah, you've just hit the nail on the head. You've just described me, I'd say, since I was about 6 years old.
Well, it really shows, because, like I said, I mean, every year that I've watched you, I could just tell that you've improved miles from season over season, and I think that we're definitely going to see you in the next tier at some point in the near future. But that does kind of bring me to the last question that I had for you. Now, obviously, you're from England. You played your whole career in England. Say that you ever got a call from the MLS about coming over to play in the States, and they made you a nice contract offer. Would that be something you would ever be interested in?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, we came over when I was playing for Middlesbrough in the youth team. We came over to Atlanta, and we played a few teams. It was a few years ago now. We played a few teams, but I was impressed by the sort of facilities and the amount of knowledge that the coaches had, and it seemed to be a good environment. And yeah, I wouldn't discount anywhere really.
Yeah, I mean, it's really growing and growing over here, and starting to see some bigger and bigger names. Of course, we had Zlatan over here, and yeah, but we'd love to see you over playing stateside sometime. So maybe that be in your future.
Yeah, maybe one day, maybe.
Well, what else did you have, Tony?
No, I think that covers it. I think I've covered all the questions I was looking at, and the answers. I was thrilled with some of the comments you made. About and you're honest and forthright with your answers. And from my point of view, it's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to coming over again in September, October, and I'll be in that section in front of Andy Holt. And if you're going by after the match, that is, I'll be sure to say hello.
Yeah, definitely. I'll come over 100%.
Yep.
Well, thank you again, and I really enjoyed talking to you again today, and we'll have to do it again here in the future, and good luck with your upcoming match here with Shrewsbury, because that's going to be a real big one, and I will keep in touch with you on Twitter.
All the best, Callum, for this season and next.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and on Stanley on.
I'm Stanley on.
Have a great one. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.